Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So you might not believe it, but we are in the Holy Dham. We arrived about 10 this morning in Sri Dham Mayapur, 10 a.m. And it is now 5:51. And we've had a very adventurous day because today is also the auspicious appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That means it's also the disappearance day of His Holiness Gaura Govinda Maharaj. We managed to make it for the Pushpa Abhishek and have darshan in the temple room of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful deities. And then managed to have amazing prasadam with two wonderful devotees.
Bengali prasad.
Bengali prasad.
It's good actually,
Yeah, that's saying something. This is coming from a Guji. Now we're talking, rambling on. But yeah, with two nice devotees, Devikanandan Prabhu and I forget Mataji's name.
His wife.
And his wife, Devikanandan Prabhu and his wife. The mother and father of Radhika. And the founders of the Botswana temple.
Yeah, ISKCON Botswana.
ISKCON Botswana.
Yeah.
And they were telling us the amazing story. They got connected at Bhaktivedanta Manor, and then I think it was him, he really wanted to go back to Botswana, or to Botswana, and they did. They took deities, right? Gaura Nitai deities, Prabhupada, and the whole movement there started. So all glories to them. Hare Krishna.
That was 32 years ago.
Yeah, or 33 almost.
33, yeah, she said 33.
So it's amazing what you can do. Little Krishna conscious, they weren't even initiated at that point.
Yeah,
they were just chanting 16 rounds. And so Krishna consciousness is, incredible. The mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, their empowerment, their mercy, makes the most incredible things possible. So really we just have to keep faith and move beyond the obstacles and oppositions and not get caught up, it's so easy. Okay, so we're here to read from the Srimad Bhagavatam. But you might be wondering, where are we? Why is this the center of attention? I don't know. Our backs are against the wall. We're in a room in the Gita Bhavan. And we just thought, okay, what are we going to do? Let's read Bhagavatam.
There's mosquitoes outside. Ironically, it'd be lovely to have the backdrop of a TOVP or anywhere.
We will have that one day, don't worry. See.
But, mosquitoes, people looking at you.
Plus it's Saturday.
Oh, and it's elephant procession.
Yeah, so we might go for the elephant procession.
I don't know if we'll make it.
But so we're here. But the main point is wherever you are, you can read the Bhagavatam. So we're going to do that. Not only you can, but you should. All right. Where are we?
It's Canto 3, Chapter 32, Text 31.
What's chapter title?
Entanglement in fruitive activities.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 31. My dear respected mother, I have already described the path of understanding the absolute truth by which one can come to understand the real truth of matter and spirit and their relationship. Text 32. Philosophical research culminates in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After achieving this understanding, when one becomes free from the material modes of nature, he attains the stage of devotional service. Either by devotional service directly or by philosophical research, one has to find the same destination, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that after many, many lives of philosophical research, The wise man ultimately comes to the point of knowing that Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is everything, and therefore he surrenders unto him. Such serious students in philosophical research are rare because they are very great souls. If by philosophical research one cannot come to the point of understanding the Supreme Person, then his task is not finished. His search in knowledge is still to be continued until he comes to the point of understanding the Supreme Lord in devotional service.
A hush falls over the crowd.
So it's very rare that someone is trying to research into God, basically. And it's even rarer, it seems, that with that research we can come to understand who the Supreme Person is.
Manushanam sahasreshu kaschinjatari siddhye. Out of many millions of men, one may endeavor for the truth, and out of those who have found the truth and understood the truth, Krishna says, only one knows me. Not me, but Krishna. So,
but isn't it interesting that what Prabhupada did was qualify people to come to that ultimate point of knowing who the Supreme Person is without them even going through this stage of gyan, and like a lot of people would say, I weren't even looking for God, you know, bumped into a book distributor or someone gave me some maha, or you know, went to a
theatre festival,
right,
Harinam.
But Prabhupada, by coming into contact with Krishna consciousness, you just straight away come into contact with the personal form. Like here in Mayapur, you'll see on future Bhakti Vision vlogs, like the beautiful deities, they're massive that they have here. And so if you came here, like we were saying when we were walking about, it's like a spiritual Disneyland here, and you can see the locals and people come in their coaches and their cars and they're all dressed up. They make a day of it and they sit in the little grass areas they've got here. They've got swings, you know, they're selling lots of food here and prasadam, I guess. And so yet these people may be coming for a day out, understanding, there's some spiritual element. When you go in the temple and bam, in front of Sri Radha Madhav, these big massive, you're immediately confronted with the absolute truth without even, you know, you just think I'm going to have a day out and I'm going to have some samosas, 7-Up and some Indian ice cream and be happy, coffee, you know, pistachio coffee, and you come into contact with the absolute truth. It's like, so that's what Prabhupada did.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you could say that these persons are already receptive of some description because they're obviously, their spiritual, their destination, the spiritual Disney World is, they're coming. They know Krishna is here. They know, they have some understanding of who Krishna is and different things like that. So, but even their understanding may be at a certain limited level. And they come, and like you said, Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada just give them access to the knowledge that can elevate them, and the practice can elevate them to the highest echelons of spiritual life. So it's very special. Yeah, very powerful. Okay, next paragraph. The opportunity for direct touch with Personality of Godhead is given in Bhagavad Gita, where it is also said that those who take to other processes, namely the processes of philosophical speculation and mystic yoga practice, have much trouble. After many, many years of much trouble, a yogi or wise philosopher may come to him, but his path is very troublesome, whereas the path of devotional service is easy for everyone. One can achieve the result of wise philosophical speculation simply by discharging devotional service, and unless one reaches the point of understanding the personality of Godhead by his mental speculation, all his research work is said to be simply a labor of love. The ultimate destination of the wise philosopher is to merge in the impersonal Brahman, but that Brahman is the effulgence of the Supreme Person. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 14:27, Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vyasya cha amritasya vyasya cha. I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is indestructible and is the supreme bliss. That's what it sounds like when you try to close your door to lock it. It's going to be going on all night long, echoing through the halls. Deck the halls with sounds of laughter. Huddy, 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 huddy. The Lord is the supreme reservoir of all pleasure, including Brahman pleasure. Therefore, one who has unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead is said to be already realized in impersonal Brahman and Paramatma. Okay, so I think we already touched upon lots of these points. A devotional service is just the highest. The goal of the Gyanis is Brahman, and we heard the quote, Brahmano hi pratishtaham, I am the source and the basis of impersonal Brahman. And one who has unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead is said to be already fixed or realized in impersonal Brahman and Paramatma. So you have these three levels of realization. I guess you can't remember the Sanskrit, but the three, God, the absolute truth is understood in three phases, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So with Krishna consciousness, you come straight in, as you were saying, you walk into the temple room, boom, there's Shishi Radha Madhav, there's Lord Nrsingadev, there's the Panchatattva, big as you like, huge and in your face, and full worship is going on, beautiful, opulent worship, kirtan, it's overwhelmingly powerful, and attractive. So, Bhakti Yoga Ki Jai.
Text 33. A single object is appreciated differently by different senses due to its having different qualities. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, but according to different scriptural injunctions, he appears to be different. It appears that by following the path of Jnana Yoga or empiric philosophical speculation, one reaches the impersonal Brahman, whereas by executing devotional service in Krishna consciousness, one enriches his faith in and devotion to the Personality of Godhead. But it is stated here that both Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga are meant for reaching the same destination, the Personality of Godhead. By the process of Jnana Yoga, the same Personality of Godhead appears to be impersonal. As the same object appears to be different when perceived by different senses, the same Supreme Lord appears to be impersonal by mental speculation. A hill appears cloudy from a distance, and one who does not know may speculate that the hill is a cloud. Actually, it's not a cloud, it's a big hill. One has to learn from authority that the sight of a cloud is not actually a cloud, but a hill. If one makes a little more progress, and instead of a cloud, he sees the hill and something green. When one actually approaches the hill, he will see many varieties. Another example is in perceiving milk. When we see milk, we see that it is white. When we taste it, it appears that milk is very palatable. When we touch milk, it appears very cold. When we smell milk, it appears to have very good flavour. And when we hear, we understand that it's called milk. Perceiving milk with different senses, we say that it is something white, something very delicious, something very aromatic, and so on. Actually, it is milk. Similarly, those who are trying to find the Supreme Godhead by mental speculation may approach the bodily effulgence or the impersonal Brahman, and those who are trying to find the Supreme Godhead by yoga practice may find him as the localized supersoul. that those who are directly trying to approach the Supreme Truth by practice of Bhakti Yoga can see him face to face as the Supreme Person. It's interesting. Like, this Prabhupada is explaining that it's the one Supreme Person, but as you approach him, you see him accordingly. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I was just thinking, like we were discussing before we started reading, that like just take Mayapur, everyone has different rasas, relationships with it. Mine's a little distorted. It's like, I think I'm the only one. I do. You know, too hot, too congested, too austere, whatever. Everyone else seems to sell for it. So it's interesting how you're approaching the Dharma, where you're at. You know, you are, because it's not this material energy. This is the spiritual world. This is Vrindavan. It's spiritual. I'm saying Vrindavan in this material world is the spiritual world. Vrindavan here, you know. But people will also be like, oh, I don't know about that. Oh, there's too much this, too much that. Oh, it's so smelly. Oh, there's cows roaming around. Oh, there's this. So it's interesting how it's the same spiritual truth, but yeah, where we're at is how we approach it.
Yeah, I mean, our perceptions determine many things, you know, how we allow our mind to manipulate us, which is why we're meant to use our intelligence, fueled by spiritual knowledge, fueled by spiritual realization, to control the mind, because the mind will tell us so many different things. So we have to be able to control the mind and make it actually help us and be our friend, so that it doesn't say this, say that, because the mind will just trip off on so many things and create a negative perspective of something that actually is our choice, whether we see it as negative or positive. Regardless of whether, you know, because you can always see good in something or bad in something. That's just the matter of the nature of the material world. And you may say, yeah, but what about the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria? That's terrible. There's no other way to see it. Yes, agreed, it's very difficult, but at the end of the day, we have to find the positivity in it. We have to see Krishna's hand in there somehow, and that's the thing. So yeah, it's really up to us whether we see Krishna or not. Of course, ultimately, Krishna is seeing us and having full darshan. That's up to him, but with our endeavor to see him and everything, like Prahlad Maharaj, I've been listening to the 7th Canto book, audio book at the moment, by Krishna Dharma and Chintamani Dham Mataji. And yeah, Prahlad was seeing Lord Nrsingadev everywhere and in everything, and therefore he was there to protect him in all situations. So like that. Next paragraph. Yeah. Ultimately, the Supreme Person is the destination of all different processes. The fortunate persons who, by following the principles of scriptures, becomes completely purified of all material contamination, surrenders unto the Supreme Lord as everything. Just as one can appreciate the real taste of milk with the tongue and not with the eyes, nostrils, or ears, one can similarly appreciate the absolute truth perfectly and with all relishable pleasure only through one path, devotional service, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktyamam Abhijanati. If one wants to understand the absolute truth in perfection, he must take to devotional service, of course. No one can understand the absolute truth in all perfection. That is not possible for the infinitesimal living entities. But the highest point of understanding by the living entity is reached by discharge of devotional service, not otherwise. So God is so great that really He's completely unlimited, and we can't ever really understand Him completely in full. He will always remain to some level or some extent or another a mystery. There will always remain some mystery about Him, because we're just infinitesimal and He is infinite. So like that. At the same time, we can experience Him in our infinitesimal way by the process of Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Mama Vijanati. So Krishna says Himself that I can only be understood by the process of devotional service. So we begin to see Him, experience Him, feel Him around us, inside of us, with us, guiding us, influencing things in our life. We begin to see that through the process of bhakti. And that's powerful. That's a heck of a lot more than most people see. But we may never really fully understand Him, So it's a perpetual, continual adventure of exciting. Well, Prabhupada said, preaching is selfless adventures on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's how Prabhupada defined preaching. So like that, knowing Krishna is a perpetual adventure.
By following various scriptural paths, one may come to the impersonal effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The transcendental pleasure derived from merging with or understanding the impersonal Brahman is very extensive, because Brahman is Ananta. Tad Brahman Kalam Anantam. Brahmananda is unlimited, but that unlimited pleasure can also be surpassed. That is the nature of the transcendence. The unlimited can be surpassed also, and that higher platform is Krishna. When one deals directly with Krishna, the mellow and the human relish by reciprocation of devotional service is incomparable, even with the pleasure derived from transcendental Brahman. Prabhupada Ananda Saraswati therefore says that Kaivalya, the Brahman pleasure, is undoubtedly very great and is appreciated by many philosophers. But to a devotee who has understood how to derive pleasure from exchanging devotional service with the Lord, this unlimited Brahman appears to be hellish. One should try therefore to transcend even the Brahman pleasure in order to approach the position of dealing with Krishna face to face. As the mind is the center of all the activities of the senses, Krishna is called the master of the senses, Rishikesha. The process is to fix the mind on Rishikesha or Krishna, as Maharaj Ambarish did. Savai Mana Krishna Pada Ravindaya. Bhakti is the basic principle of all processes. Without bhakti, neither Jnana Yoga nor Astanga Yoga can be successful, and unless one approaches Krishna, the principles of self-realization have no ultimate destination. Yeah, I think it was said, wasn't it?
No idea what you're talking about. But that kid down the hallway certainly has some idea. I think the last sentence was powerful. Without bhakti, neither Gyan nor Astanga can be successful. And unless one approaches Krishna, the principles of self-realization have no ultimate destination. Means Jnana Yoga, okay, the ultimate destination is Brahman, but when you get to Brahman, there's no real Ananda, although it mentioned Brahmananda, that there is some bliss in Brahman, but in general we understand that Brahman doesn't offer bliss because only interaction with Bhagavan gives Ananda. Sat eternality comes in Brahman. Chit, full knowledge, comes with Paramatma realization, and Ananda comes at the level of Bhagavan realization. So the ultimate purpose or destination of all of our efforts in either Gyan or Astanga can only be realized when we accept Krishna as the Supreme, and then we'll find real satisfaction. think that's what I understood.
Okay.
So I think that's the cue. Going to finish here. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Remember, if you get a chance, visit Sri Dham Mayapur. It's a beautiful place. Watch Bhakti Vision. Some of the upcoming Bhakti Visions will have some episodes about Sri Dham Mayapur. And read Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.